Welcome to the Left of Str8 Show, your one-stop destination for intriguing conversations with extraordinary individuals who are boldly navigating life outside the conventional norms. Our host, Scott Fullerton, is thrilled to embark on this journey of discovery with all of you. The Left of Str8 Show, we believe that every person's story is unique, and it's our mission to showcase the diversity of human experiences. We bring you the untold stories of fascinating people who identify as LGBT+ and allies, pushing boundaries, breaking stereotypes, and making a positive impact in our communities. On this show, we bring you a diverse lineup of inspiring guests, from activists to artists, and entrepreneurs to entertainers, and everything in between. We dive deep into their personal journeys, discovering the pivotal moment that has shaped their lives and careers. You can expect thought-provoking discussions on a wide range of topics, from LGBTQ rights, social justice to arts, culture, mental health, and more. Our guests are change-makers who share their insights, challenges, and triumphs, igniting conversation that promotes empathy, understanding, and love. So whether you're part of the LGBTQ community or an ally looking to expand your knowledge and show your support, the Left of Str8 Show is for you. Together, we can build bridges of understanding and acceptance, celebrating the beauty of what makes us all unique. So sit back, grab a drink, and get ready for the show.
All righty. Hello, everyone. Welcome to another interview here on the Left of Str8 Show, your go-to podcast for entertainment, foodies, books, music, and advocacy for our LGBTQ+ community, and of course, our straight allies. I'm your host, as always, Scott Fullerton, and today we have a truly innovative and inspiring guest joining me today. He's become a trailblazer in the world of adult beverages and has introduced a product that's making waves and celebrating inclusivity like never before. I'm excited to welcome Spencer Hoddeson, the visionary founder behind the groundbreaking new adult alcoholic beverage, Gay Water. Spencer has worked brand marketing for such companies as Verizon and Yahoo, but for a little over a year and a half now, he set his marketing sights on launching his own product. Gay Water takes its name from the hugely popular cocktail in our LGBTQ community, vodka and soda, which has always been known as Gay Water. We're going to dive into Spencer's journey, his passion for innovation, and the story behind this unique and refreshing creation. So please welcome to the Left of Str8 Show for the very first time, Mr. Spencer Hoddeson. Spencer, how the heck are you, boss?
Good. First time, hopefully not the last. I am, just getting through the week like everyone else, I'm sure.
There you go. Well, you are welcome back as many times as you can come, and you're in charge of cocktails from here on out. That's all there is
There
to
you
it.
go. Resident bartender.
I like it. Well, you got a fantastic story to tell, but I always have two questions I ask all first-timers here, kind of break in the virgins. First, where did you grow up, and what kind of a kid were you growing up?
Ooh, good questions. So I grew up in New York, outside of New York City, in one of the suburbs. What kind of kid was I? That's an interesting question. I mean, I've always been a really voracious learner. That's part of the story why I kind of part of what inspired the brand. Big learner. Always curious. I think curious would probably be one word to describe me. I remember cracking open rocks in my backyard, like a big rock, cracking it open on another rock because I wanted to see what was on the inside. So I've always had that kind of insatiable curiosity from a very young age.
Right, that's awesome. I love that. And second question I always like to ask as an out and proud founder of Gay Water, when did you first come out to yourself? Who was the first person you told? And when do you feel you kind of found your tribe?
Yeah, three great questions. When did I know myself? I knew pretty early on, like 12, 13 years old. I think there was it's not like a light switch moment, but there's a light switch when you realize, oh, that's what it is. Oh, I'm attracted to that and not that. Okay. So it was pretty young. but I mean, as a lot of folks from my generation, I'm sure your generation as well, went through, is I was closeted for 10 years afterwards. I knew pretty early on, and there was always that, that omnipresent thing that was there, in every conversation I had, in every piece of media I watched. I was always looking out to see if there was like maybe an allusion to being gay, or some sort of representation. But it honestly, it took me about 10 years. Like you just asked where I grew up. I think I grew up in a pretty liberal place. But again, there weren't, queer couples that had kids that went to my school. There was no representation. So I think, despite, high tolerance, I would say, and acceptance in the community I grew up with, it was still, it wasn't something that I felt comfortable talking about for a while. So I came out right after college, came out to my best friend from college, who at the same time came out to me as a lesbian, who later actually realized that they were trans. So they have since transitioned, but it was a really special moment. We're in my college dorm room senior year, like sitting on my bed, and they came out to me first, and then I came out to them, and so that very, very interesting, I would say, coming out moment. And then how did I find my community? I think as queer people, it's definitely a little bit harder for us to find our tribes than the heterosexual people who are, you go to high school, you go to college, you go to the workplace. There's always similar people that share interests to you, in those spaces. I think for me, a really big sort of like differentiator is, after college, I moved home for a bit, and then I moved to New York City, which, as you know, has a huge LGBTQ community, a huge queer audience. I think a lot of my really close friends, this will not come as a surprise, actually came from dating and dating apps. You go on a date with someone, you realize like, maybe not romantically for us, and then you kind of transition towards being friends, and that's how.
Surprising how many times that happens. Actually, you're right.
Yeah, I think especially early on in looking for that tribe, you sort of realize, okay, we're better as friends. You start to assemble, handpick a few friends, and from there they meet people, you meet people, and your sort of circles start growing. You start, I think your first group of queer friends is not necessarily your forever group of queer friends, because I think that you find that commonality in being queer, but realize, as you start meeting other people, like, oh, that's just one layer of the onion, and you really want to find people who have shared interests, shared values, shared, everything. But yeah.
Yeah, very much. I mean, I do another podcast called Bears of a Certain Age, because we have all these subsets in here as well, right? So I'm a
Yeah.
little older and of the Bears variety. So I've found a couple different friend groups. So I totally understand that. But you and your best friend, that sounds like a heart stopper moment. I love that you come out to each other. That's very cool.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, kind of my heart stopper moment. It's funny because I've been reading a lot of articles about Heartstopper, and on Twitter or X, whatever you want to call it, Instagram, seeing all these comments of people. I saw TikTok actually recently where a guy was like, I think part of the reason that people are so obsessed with Heartstopper is like, my generation, generations before me, we didn't have those moments. We didn't come out in high school. We didn't get to have, early romances that now I watch in Heartstopper, and I think part of me just like, wishes I had that experience when I was younger, and I think that's what's helped the popularity of it, is like, this is this is happening now, thankfully. And I think for the folks that it didn't happen to, they get to kind of vicariously live that story to life.
Very much so. I hear that 100%. Let's start going into the business a little bit. Let's share with the listeners a little about your business background. I mean, you went to school at Vanderbilt, quite impressive. You worked entertainment media studies there. You were on their school television network there, and then Viacom, NBC Universal. Talk about, now that you've done this business for a year and a half, what is more kind of challenging for you, the business side or the entertainment kind of marketing side?
Yeah. I guess I'll tackle that first. I think the marketing aspects to building a company, very important. I mean, principles of marketing is you need to understand who your audience is. Like that is marketing 101. And I think what I'm finding as I'm venturing deep into the business world is that there are a lot of brands out there that create brands or products that they think that they know who their audience is, and then they put a product, they put a brand in front of that audience, and there can be a disconnect because they're trying to talk to those people rather than talk with those people. So the inception of Gaywater was really, I've gotten some feedback that this isn't the best way to put it, but I consider it a lifestyle brand. Folks are concerned with associating alcohol with a lifestyle, which I totally hear. There's there are problems with alcohol in the community, and that's not at all what we're trying to necessarily contribute to by saying that it's a lifestyle brand. But the idea behind it is it being a lifestyle brand that happens to have a vodka soda product at first. Hopefully, does well. There's more products to come, and that that criticism around lifestyle and alcohol, hopefully goes away. But it's so, to answer your question, what I'm really finding is, yes, operating a business is a lot more challenging than it seems on the onset. I definitely come at it from a media and marketing approach, but also, I mean, both are equally as challenging, I would say. There's of course, there's challenges that you're going to find in really resonating and building a community and talking to that audience, and there's also problems or challenges on the business side of actually creating products, formulating, finding the right co-packer, finding the right distributor, keeping everybody in check. So to answer your question, I mean, one isn't easier than the other. I think they just require a different approach.
Right. And you've come from that marketing background. You've done it so well with new media for all these companies you've worked for. And I think you explained it very well in the very beginning about knowing who your audience is, because we talked about it. I think you've even said something about it in a couple of your interviews, like the Dylan Mulvaney and the Bud Light, just really knowing who your audience is, right? It's very important to kind of shape that out. How did you first start crafting your brand, and how decide to make it unapologetically gay? I love that.
Yeah. So the kind of inception of the brand, a lot of things were happening concurrently in my life. I was feeling a little bit stagnant in my career. I was looking for, maybe I would go back to business school, maybe I would start something on my own, but that was like kind of a third door. I had started interviewing at other companies. Like we said really early on in this interview, like I am a voracious learner. Like when I feel stagnancy, I'm like, that is my enemy. So I was definitely looking for something new. And it did sort of happen serendipitously, I would say. I've said this in a couple interviews. I was on a trip with a girlfriend who was working at a big beverage company, and we really just started. We were together for 10 days. We were every day she was really excited about the new job that she was starting. So we kept talking about it. We kept digging into, the beverage industry, and we got to this topic of queer representation. And she flat out said, I've been working in the industry 10 plus years. Like, it is a very straight, masculine, heterosexual, white dominated industry. And she's like, I don't work with a ton of queer people, and I don't see a ton of queer products, if any. So that was, I would say that was the first kind of light bulb that went off, where I was like, there potentially is an opportunity for something like this. And later that trip, I ordered a vodka soda. I turned to her and I was like, did you know that an older generation of gay men kind of pioneered this term, that it means a vodka, that gay water means a vodka soda? She's like, I don't know if it's, whether I've just been around a lot of gay people by going to college in the city, or my family members, who some of them are queer, but I know this term. I've heard of this term. And she's a heterosexual cis woman. So that was another light bulb that went off, and I kind of went to the races from there, where I started doing a ton of research on the industry, research on sort of the other products that existed. I wanted to make sure that there wasn't anything like this out there. Hopefully there would have been, but in the sort of research that I went into, I didn't find a lot of other queer brands that basically set out for representation and were mission and community driven. So that's really the sort of onus behind Gay Water, is really, our mission is to destigmatize the word gay. It sounds cliche, but at the end of the day, unless you really put something out there and start putting the word in front of people, that perception that at least I experienced in high school, with people saying things like, that's so gay, and having a negative connotation, until you start saying the word and putting it in front of people, on products, in media, etc., you really don't start to see, a reclaiming of that word. Because let's be honest, the original definition is happy. Like, gay means happy. And I think that we've morphed to this, crazy place where in our country people see the word gay, and, right-wingers, conservative folk, they think about the sexual part of being gay way more than queer people do.
Right?
It is constantly on their minds.
That's crazy. You're right. That's funny.
I mean, that to me is the craziest thing, that they leap from seeing a word to visualizing, sex and whatever. But so that's our mission, is really to reclaim that word and bring it to spaces that don't have, queer or gay products or people, like bars, restaurants, liquor stores. Not necessarily that there aren't queer people in restaurants, but bringing that representation to those folks, like those spaces, bars, liquor stores, restaurants, grocery stores, convenience stores, concert venues. They don't have products like this right now, and they don't have that spotlight on representation necessarily. And secondarily, the long-term goal behind this brand, one, build a company to last. I could have taken, the capital used to start this business, donated it to a nonprofit, and called it a day. But I think the beauty with building a queer, mission-driven and community-driven business is the longer this business is around, and the longer it's generating, profit and able to succeed, the more that we, and this is very much our intention, are able to monetarily give back to the community, to nonprofits, be able to donate in other ways, in-kind product to a fundraiser. We have quite a few organizations that right now are, throwing galas and fundraisers that are looking for, alcohol to entertain people while they're raising money, or co-marketing with nonprofits, being able to give them, added exposure to our audiences. So really, that's as important as our primary mission, but our secondary mission is to be able to, create a business that lasts, that, for years to come is able to support and give back to the community, rather than, that one moment you just donate money, it hopefully goes to an area that you're passionate about improving, whether that's, trans youth or bullying or whatever that nonprofit focuses on. I think the beauty of creating a company is actually being able to, continue that work for years to come. So long-winded answer. I'm sorry.
No, it's very well said. And I think it's very important. There you go. Have a little product there. I like that. One of the things I love about it, for sure, Spencer, is that, you've been doing this for a year and a half, right? It's been a long launch process. You could have very easily rainbow washed it and launched in Pride like everybody else. I've been bitching about rainbow washing for the 8 years I've been doing this podcast, but you just launched late July. And I think you kind of took that. It shows the seriousness of what you're looking to do. It kind of gives a message. Anyone can launch any kind of product in Pride, but you kind of are taking this to the next step. And I think one of my favorite social media posts that you've done, because you are so good at the social media, was talking about, as you were gearing up for the launch, you got about 8,000 people asking for free products for Pride. It's like, well, if you're supporting a Pride person, then give them some money. Let them know what's going on and support those things. And I think you really put your money where the mouth is there. So I appreciate that.
Yeah, to me that was crazy that I'm not going to name names, but a lot of big corporations reaching out and seeing a queer product. I get it. They're super excited about it. They want to support the community. But at the end of the day, if you want to support the community, put your money where your mouth is. Financially support the community. Us potentially giving a company product for free only, further shows their, allows them to virtue signal. Essentially, it's not really supporting the community when you're not supporting those businesses. So that was something that definitely triggered me.
I bet. And I'm glad that you definitely have to look at this long term and adding these other products and everything, because you have some merchandise now along with your hats, and you have your coolers and your mugs.
I have to send you a hat.
Oh, I would love that. I will wear that everywhere, my friend. I will definitely give you information after that. But I like that. I think it needs to be sustainable, because we talk about being 5 to 10% of the population. You can't sustain a business unless you're marketing correctly towards that. I love trans twisted teas and things like that. There's all sorts of things you can be doing. But talk about your sustainability model, on how you plan on keeping it out there and getting the word out to the community.
Yeah, up until now, we've really just done organic marketing. So I have spent $0 on paid marketing. I think the beauty of platforms like TikTok is that they're able to kind of help grow small businesses. I think there's a whole nother podcast we can do about TikTok's impact on small businesses, because it's truly incredible. But we're really focused, day one, maintaining as much of an organic presence as possible. It's all at this moment, it's still a fully self-funded business. We don't have, the crazy marketing budgets that a Bud Light, for example, has. Although I'm not sure anymore, based on.
True.
No, I'm just kidding. No, I'm kidding. But yeah, we're focused on organic marketing. We're focused on, doing as much as we can with as little as we have. I think what might surprise some people to know is that this is a small queer-owned brand. We've gotten amazing attention, and I'm so thankful for all of the press that we've gotten, and all of the social media buzz that we've gotten. But at the end of the day, I mean, we're not a Bud Light. We're not we're not owned by like a Diageo that can help us really grow and scale. So, I mean, we're super reliant on the community, word of mouth, people actually helping to support the business and, helping to sort of forge our path with us. Like I said, it's a community business.
Right. And you have done excellent. I mean, you started out, I think, launched in 30 states. You're up to like 35 now, and you have 47 on the books. I want to know who those three little bastards are that haven't signed up yet. But I mean, when I first started my show 8 years ago, a Quality Vodka was relatively new, and they were a new brand, kind of one of the first brands to really start giving back, and they had a real trouble just getting distribution for them through all the states. So I think you're killing it as far as that goes. But it does take that
we
kind
have
of
we have online distribution, which I think it's much easier than on the ground distribution, but hopefully that will come soon. Sorry to cut you off.
Well, no, and I think it's just a little bit of the product difference too, and because the difference of a full alcoholic beverage and what you're allowed to mail to certain states as opposed to this kind of a beverage. So I think it's smart marketing all the way around. And I think your product is kind of superior. I mean, just to one of the other products, we won't even give the name, but I think they're like 80, they're 100 calories, you're 80 calories. They're a little higher in alcohol. I think they're 4.5%, you're 4%. They have like sugar, 2 grams, you have 0 sugar. So you're very competitive as far as the space goes and who your market is, right?
Yeah. There aren't a ton of like vodka soda products right now. There's like 3 big competitors, I would say, in the spirit-based cocktail section when it comes to this product. But yeah, alcohol is definitely like you mentioned. I had no beverage background. I went into this a year and a half ago. I have been learning very quickly. There are a lot of nuances to alcohol. I think people forget that alcohol laws are state by state, so they're not federal. Even I believe, and I could be wrong on this, but the drinking age is there's like a federal mandate, but it's actually state by state. Like back in I think the 40s and 50s, like different states had different drinking ages. It used to be 18 in certain states. So yeah, I mean, it's a very nuanced industry, and I'm learning very quickly, how particular some of the states, even counties, can be.
Right.
So, but it's awesome. I mean, I've loved getting to learn it and spreading some queer joy in the meantime.
I love that. Yeah, it's a very hard industry to learn. I mean, I'm of the age where there was 18-year-old states I could go to drink at the time that others were 21. I remember that, like, even here in Ohio, you have to apply to get liquor license to sell on Sunday in a lot of counties here, and some
Yep.
counties are dry, so it's a very unusual thing to do. Let's talk about the packaging. I mean, you had your can up here a couple of times. I love that it's not totally rainbow. I mean, we got the great colorful, but it's got a great pastel more background to it. We're not all about the rainbows and unicorns. Talk about coming up with the design for it, because the design is fantastic.
Yeah, absolutely. I knew very quickly that I wanted to work with an old coworker who had designed for our LGBTQ employee resource group when I was at Yahoo. So I reached out to him. He's incredible. He's a queer Japanese guy from Hawaii who just really, I think when we were working together, felt a little bit restricted by the brand guidelines of the company we were working for, so he couldn't fully flourish. And I knew that with a product like this, where the guardrails are gone, he would really be able to whip up something incredible, which he has. The sort of inspiration behind the brand was a little bit of he's also a 90s kid, was a little bit of like our childhood, 90s television, pop art, comic books. Vintage candy was a really big inspiration on that original mood board. I'm obsessed with like old, like Razzles, like what else were we looking at? Jujubes, like really fun, colorful candy.
Right.
So we wanted it to be like a bright and colorful brand, but like I was saying earlier, gay just means happy. It's not like it's a brand that's meant to be for everyone. It's meant, like, one of our brand values is joy. Like, it's meant to spread joy every time you see it. It's really not meant to be, exclusionary. And it sounds almost counter to, the community's like mission, but if you slap a rainbow flag on it, if you slap a unicorn on it, it very much is only speaking to one audience. And I think that's not what we want to do. We want to be as inclusionary as possible. Like, we want, as you said at the beginning of your show, like, we want straight allies to also
Sure.
be a part of our journey and helping to, again, further that mission of representation in spaces where there isn't representation. So we were really intentional about building a brand that felt fun, colorful, and queer, but also inclusive, and able to be enjoyed by anyone. Although, if you look at some of our conservative folk TikTok comments, like, they don't, just having the word gay in the title means that apparently they can't drink it in their eyes. So,
right. Well, I love that it has the queer sensibility and irreverence too that the community kind of throws on. I mean, I think you have one of your taglines is something doesn't taste like ass, which is not necessarily a good thing, and I think that's hilarious. You do have some fun with it and kind of bring that queer sensibility into it. And I think that's important. Our community is very much tries to have a sense of humor about everything. It's tough when you have everyone going towards us right now, left, right, and center from the conservatives, like you said. What have you
yeah.
heard back as far as comments wise, though, have kind of given you hope? What's kind of spurred you on and been kind of fun to hear?
Yeah, I mean, there has been such a just heartwarming and positive reception from the community, which honestly, like, as a member of the community, I have been a critic with so many brands, like, that have tried to play in the queer space. So, like, I can firsthand say that I was expecting a ton of criticism because I have fully doled it out myself. But definitely a lot less criticism, because I think people are realizing that, like, it's not that serious. Like, gay means happy. We are trying to be a fun, happy brand. We're trying to, create representation for the community, give back to the community. It doesn't always have to be a serious thing. Of course, that's not to, wipe away politically what's going on in our country right now with, the anti-trans, anti-drag legislation that's happening. Of course, like, we exist to be able to, support our community in the ways that we're able to, and fight a lot of the hard legislation that's happening in the country right now. But I do think that, to what you just said, we're hoping to keep it light and fun and not too serious. I think that again, going back to inclusivity, like, the more the more we drill down and only talk about eating ass and, like,
Right.
really innuendos in our marketing, the more we're going to isolate other members even within the community that don't find humor in some of it. So it's light and playful, but at the same time it's meant to be fun and inclusive.
Right. And I think, I mean, you're a marketing whiz, so you know how important that authenticity is these days to everything. I think you bring that authenticity. I mean, before you ever launched this, you had all your little dating TikToks and you had fun with the internet, right? And so you were kind of reaching out to the community, but you're having fun with it. And I think you bring a lot of authenticity that follows you from where you've had before to this product. And I think that's important for any brand to really know where the heart is for it. And I think your heart kind of comes through in the product. So well done on that.
Thank you for saying that, and everything else. I mean, you've been very kind in your words. No, I appreciate that, and I do think that there are, not to harp on what happened with Bud Light, but I do think that is a perfect example of inauthenticity, in that they didn't understand necessarily exactly who their audience were, and they didn't that the ad that was created just felt very it felt like, oh, we're doing this because, and not we're doing this with intention. I mean, other alcohol brands do pride campaigns, and are able to do them successfully. I think it's more the context of which it was kind of just thrown out there in an almost throwaway kind of mentality. I think, separate from the conservative feedback that whole situation got, I think our community saw it as like, this isn't authentic. Like, this isn't you're not trying to better or improve our community. You're trying to get people that don't typically buy this product to buy this product. And if you want that to happen, it's not a band-aid. It's a long-term, it's a long-term partnership with the community. It's making sure that you're putting your money where your mouth is. It's making sure that that you're giving support in ways that aren't just money as well. Like, I think that's the biggest feedback that I got from that situation, is like, authenticity comes from time, and comes from support, and comes from a fostering of a relationship, and not just putting something in front of someone and being like, dangling it in front of their face and saying, here, buy this. That's partially why I really view the brand as a lifestyle brand first and foremost, because we want to build a community around a fun queer lifestyle, without it just feeling like, hey, here's a product, go buy a product in this vacuum over here. That really shouldn't be it. It should be a really well-rounded sort of, like, you want a brand to feel like your friend and not a company talking at you.
Right. No, very well said. And I think that's how you've approached it. And it's very impressive to see where you're going. And you're listening to your audience, right? I mean, your flavors were based on your audience. You're really getting that feedback. What's kind of been the best feedback you're getting from actual drinkers of the product?
Yeah, I think people really like the product so far. Haven't gotten too many criticisms. I think the hard part with beverage in general is that everyone has their own palate. Everyone is subjective. Some people like lime. Some people don't like lime. Some people love peach. Some people don't like peach. I think for me personally, it's been hard to sift through what's subjective and what's objective feedback, because oftentimes it's like, oh, this is good, but so I think it's been great so far. I do think, like, look, this is the first time the product is going to market. Every brand has iterations and optimizations. So I don't necessarily know that this is going to be like the flavors or the formulas necessarily forever. That's part of what I love about running a business that speaks to the queer community, is the community will tell you immediately when they like or don't like something. We love to give our opinions. So I think, and I honestly, I love building a business where there is that feedback loop. So like you said, we ask people what flavors we should do. There's can't say anything yet, but our most commented comment on TikTok is gay water is not 4% alcohol, it's at least 8%. We are listening to that comment. More to come there. But being able to really listen to the community, engage with the community, talk to real people that are interested and passionate about your brand. I'm very thankful that I don't feel like that comes around often with new brands. So I'm very thankful that we have this engaged audience who is very, very willing to give us unsolicited or unsolicited feedback.
Well, I love that. And I like a little preview of things to come here. And I mean, you're working hard. It's hot boy summer out there. You got Fire Island around the corner and everything, and you're hustling your bunnies getting this thing launched. So good on you for that. You talk about that commitment to a brand. Tell me what your next steps are. Where do you think you go from here as we start to wrap this up?
Yeah, definitely formulating new products. Like I said, also potentially going back to our original products, making them better. I always strive, and I think most people do, always strive to deliver the best possible, reflection of their business that they can. So definitely gonna be looking at both of those. Hoping to really build out pretty soon just partnerships with nonprofits. We have a bunch that have I can't name names, but have reached out for donations of products to their events, who want to do longer term, potentially co-marketing campaigns together while we're still, getting up and running financially. So more to come on that front. More to come potentially with brand partnerships. We've had a lot of inbounds from various brands that love what we're doing, actually want to put their money where their mouth is and support the community. So hoping more to come there pretty soon. And then honestly, just being able to get the product out there. Right now, we talked about this a little earlier, we're in 35 states. Hopefully in the next couple of weeks, we'll be in 47 online for delivery, which is not, we fully own and recognize is not the best way to be selling alcohol. Shipping is expensive. Shipping alcohol requires a signature and an ID, which adds to that shipping cost. I would say to your question on criticism before, that's definitely one that we've heard quite a bit. And listen, I get it. I fully I sometimes get to the cart and then see a $20 shipping fee, and I'm like, oh hell no. So I'm right there with consumers, but the goal is to really get that on the ground distribution, local retailers that are picking it up, so that the ultimate win for me is queer people being able to actually create community with this product. So throwing a party at your house and having gay water there and inviting over your friends is the biggest win to me in areas where people don't necessarily have a queer space to go to or queer community readily available to them. I think enabling people to kind of, and not to say that by having gay water, you're only able to do that or whatever, but enabling people to or pushing people to bring people together is really what excites me the most about a product like this. So getting that sort of local and on the ground distribution is going to be really important.
Well, I'm excited to see where you go, my friend. It's just been, like I said, it's been an honor for me just to kind of watch it over social media the last couple months. You've been working your bunnies off. Thanks for taking the time to come on the show and share a little bit about your product.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you so much for having me. I I just loved being here. I know I feel bad that I talked a lot.
That's what this is all about. It's all about learning about you. Let everyone know where they can find the website and where they can find you and your product on social media.
Absolutely. So right now, as we just talked about, Gay Water is available 35 states online. Hopefully, by the time this podcast comes out, it'll be in 47. You can check for all information our website, gaywater.com. And then on socials, we're on pretty much everything: Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, Threads, Twitter, X. Which must not be named. No, we're all at Drink Gay Water on those platforms. Where else? I feel like that's it so far.
I love it. Well, Spencer Hoddeson, it's been amazing getting to know you. Thanks so much for doing the Left of Str8 Show. Guys, we're going to play 5 questions with Spencer. Look for that next Tuesday. We'll always have a little fun with that. And we will talk to you real soon. Thanks for tuning in. You guys have a great afternoon, everyone. Bye-bye.
Thanks for listening to The Left of Str8 Show. Be sure to subscribe on your favorite podcast distributor, and please give us a 5-star rating so more listeners can find us. You can follow us on social media, and be sure to check out our website, www.leftofstraightradio.com, for contests and other news and information. See you next week.